All right, y'all. So here we go. The much anticipated episode that we've both been looking forward to. Jer'Zhan Newton, Illinois defensive tackle, film review, film breakdown. And so you're probably wondering if you've watched my podcast, listened to a couple of the or some of the episodes that I've done, why did I name my channel and my page That's Textbook Sports? Well, I named it That's Textbook Sports because with these film breakdowns and reviews, you get to learn more. You get to learn about the prospect and what they do within the basics, right? So, like for a defensive lineman, a defensive tackle, it's going to be about hand fighting, hand usage, what type of techniques, like the arm over, swim move, the finesse moves, power moves, bull rush moves, those sorts of things that they put on a display at the collegiate level. And so, if a defensive lineman can do those little nuanced basic things, right? It just the success and how that translates to the NFL is going to be much better. So a lot of teams might have them higher on their draft board. So I called it That's Textbook Sports because we get to learn about and understand the nuanced details of each prospect at each position. I love this type of thing. I live for this thing 24/7. I like to understand what a prospect is, what type of strengths, weaknesses that they bring to the table, how they perform in a real life game scenario, uh, and finding out what they're comfortable with. Because what you're comfortable with most likely is going to show what and how you play like at the NFL level. Now, within scouting, there's a lot of things that go into it, right? There is the basic things that they do, how they perform on the field. But then there's the things that you have to ask them, about themselves, how much they love football, their sort of passion for it, their character, all of those sorts of things that us, unfortunately, in the general audience, outside of scouts and NFL organizations, aren't able to do. But if you live for these types of things, it's what I love, it's what I enjoy doing. And so, Jer'Zhan Newton, let's just get straight into this episode. What type of prospect and player he is. So, first play right here, going up against an offensive guard. And you see right there, it's hand fighting. Like he sees the right guard right here. Look, he's got his head ducked, feet are together, so the offensive guard doesn't have a good base. But Jer'Zhan Newton's just able to use his speed, and then right here, that hand fighting that you see him do, it gives him the best. I mean, he's able to round the edge as well. He's in the best situation to get to the quarterback, and he obviously does, right? Just the power and speed that he plays with so far in a couple of these clips is very impressive. So right here, always look at that ham fighting right there. You see him. He's using his left arm or his left hand to swat down the right guard's right hand, and his right hand right here is going over, and it's perfectly positioned because what these defensive line coaches will teach you, and it's somewhat taught with wide receivers as well, is the points you want to emphasize when you're doing these kind of like I call them karate moves is the joints, the elbows, and the wrist, because those are the most flexible. So you use those sorts of points, and he's able to, I mean, just get by him, round the edge, and look at that hit on the quarterback, strip sack. Going here again up against Kansas, that just that speed to power, and I don't know his measurables right now, all right, his height or his weight, but the speed and power he plays with is so rare at a defensive tackle, and the flexibility that he has as well. Right there again, arm over, swim move, whatever you kind of really want to call it. Look at that right left guard right here, and the sort of position that he's in, and the quickness that he has off the line of scrimmage, right? Like we can go back to this rep, ball snapped, he's already, and by the time the quarterback is approaching their drop, he's already creating havoc. I mean, it's a good throw for the quarterback, but you want your defensive linemen, especially defense tackles, to create a whole lot of pressures because it's tough to beat a guard and then possibly have to deal with the center, right? So you want them, if they're not going to get a whole lot of sacks. You just want them to create pressures, have the quarterback scramble outside the pocket, those sorts of things. So there you go. He's right here on the right side of the screen, lined up with the guard. And right here, strength, what you use, leverage, understanding that you have to use, when you're using these power moves, you have to use leverage. And when you extend, your hands have to be fully extended, kind of like right here, right? And he keeps a good base. He's not, I mean, he's turning his upper half to the right, but he's still got that strength to be able to maneuver through it, creates a strip sack with one hand. I'm really impressive right here. There he is in the circle right there. Just the hand fighting, and then to be able to swim back, right? Or not swim back, but really bend that corner at his with his measurables. Really, I mean, just really impressive. So here we go again, hand fight over, and then now circle back, straight line, tip throw, air and pass, what you love. And then again, it's that power and that speed and flexibility to be able to do these sorts of like finesse moves. Really impressive, and it pops out on his tape. Uh, let's go back to this one because I think it's a good emphasis to show, right? So he's straight lined with the quarterback right now. He's playing with his pads up. When you're a defensive lineman and a lineman in general, whether that's offense or defensive, you want to have a good base because that's where a lot of your power comes from is your base. So you want to be in that what coaches call an athletic stance to be able to use that power, right? Because you're more powerful when you're in a good athletic position as opposed to standing up. And so he's kind of standing up here, but he's just able to use that strength and to be able to have that strength to kind of widen it to the quarterback and going left as opposed to being at the position he is at right here and being driven all the way back kind of towards the referee over here. Just really impressive. Creates pressures. Like I said, those are the things you love to see. And just so quickly, the quickness he wins with and in all of these reps right here. He's just obliterating these guards, right? Ball snapped, quarterback gets head dropped, and he's already got pressure in his face. Now it's a check down and completion, but if the check down isn't there and if it's a longer passing play, he's most likely going to get a sack there. Just the bend, it doesn't make the sack there, but the bend that he has with the quickness, always all and then motor. Like that's the thing that you talk about with these defensive lineman prospects, whether that be an edge or someone that's on the interior, is they got to have a motor. Right? It has to be constantly going 24/7. Right now, within these couple of clips, and we're a minute 15 in, that's really what he has. And then again, a counter, one of my favorite reps right here, right? I'll let it play through as well. So let's go back. Because when you have these sort of moves, like these are moves that you're comfortable with. So he's doing a lot of that swatting his hand and swatting, using the left hand to swat the hands and the right hand to, come over, right? So that's something he's comfortable with. But what happens when the offensive lineman can counter that? Do you have a counter for the counter? And so he tries to work inside, counters it, still able to make a play. It's just the speed he plays with, always using his hands, motor, really impressive stuff, right? Let's go back with this one a little bit. So he's lined up right here as the nose tackle, works through, he's going through the right guard, but look at that right there. Tells you what you need to know about this prospect right here, that he understands these things of leverage, right? Because when the offensive lineman is, they kind of, they play forward a little bit, kind of like how this right guard is right here, like, he's kind of leaning a little bit forward, more in a straight up position. They're off balance. So when they're off balance, you can use that leverage against them to make them fall and win the rep. So he's got his left hand right here, right on, it looks like on his forearm. Newton does, right? Swats that down and see, there you go, right there. Look, right guard falls straight down. Move, boom. Just really impressive stuff. Again, working right there. Moves, counter move. I mean, it's impressive, right? Tries to work inside. Guard does a good job of recovering, but you know what? Recovered a little bit too well. Look at where the guard is right here, facing kind of to angled, like maybe to this other goalpost right here, right? Not goalpost, but the pylon to the left corner. He uses it against him. He's able to create a pressure and make the play. A plus. Goal line scenario. So we've seen a lot of what he does pass rush, right? Defensive lineman. You want to make your money in the NFL, you want to, as a rookie, you want to play a lot of snaps, you have to be a dominant run defender. And with all of that, it talks about the things of leverage, bull rush moves, power. What can you do? So you see right here, you know, he's, and here's what I'll say with a defensive lineman that has to defend the run. You see this line right here, right? Like there's a line of offensive linemen, right? You want to reset the line of scrimmage and make the ball carrier have to pursue a different way and pursue towards help, right? So Penn State is doing this kind of, I guess, zone run. They're trying to get something right here to their stud left tackle in that gap right there. And he resets the line of scrimmage, right? Look at now that running back has to bounce outside. He can't go inside by that left tackle. And his teammate right here does another good job of resetting that line of scrimmage, making them have to bounce outside and resets the line of scrimmage, bull rush, impressive. And he makes the play. And just being dominant. I mean, he's throwing guys down. Like, so he's working up against 77 right there. We go back. He's working up against 77. 77's falling down. So I'll work it back right here. Or where am I at? Here we go. So with these runs where the offensive linemen are working to, the left or right, right? They're working to their left. They are already kind of in a bad position leverage wise, right? They're not completely on balance. You're asking your offensive lineman to go work at an angle and move up, right? So the offensive linemen have to have fantastic technique, and the defensive linemen have to understand that they're working off balance and more so at an angle. So we can use that up against them. And so you see Newton right here. He's working up against 77, the right tackle on the screen. And this is a play from, I think, the 2021 season. So he sees that. Now the lineman kind of working a little bit high, but he's not leaning his hips. You watch the hips. He's not leaning any kind of certain way. He's in a good position. Newton just, but he was working high, right? He's working high, so he's probably not gonna have a lot of power. Newton's hand fighting, technique, base, all really impressive. And you stop the run. Same play, just throws him down. Working in run defense again, right here, number 4. It, I don't understand right now why he's lower on some draft boards with some of the stuff that he's shown on tape, right? Because the tape in the film, it doesn't lie. So another run play. There he is, number 4, right there. Use leverage hands. Look at that. Hands extended straight out. And look at his head right here. Really high IQ stuff. Kind of peek over either the lineman's left or right shoulder to see where the ball carrier is at and to use their leverage against them and throw that offensive lineman off their block. So there's Newton, hands extended out, got a pretty good base, looking at where the running back is to determine if he's going left, I got to throw him this way. If he's going right, I have to throw him this way. Make the play. So let's watch it. Just throws him down. Understanding leverage. And then one of my favorite reps right there. Look at that. Good base, low. Low man always wins. That's why the Philadelphia Eagles are able to do that tush push because Jason Kelsey and the rest of that offensive line understands leverage. They understand that The low man always wins, of course, and then Jalen Hurts, all of that. But that's a mute point right now. Low, good base, hands inside the chest. When a defensive lineman gets their hands, or even and this goes for offensive line too, when you get the hands inside the chest, you're able to push up and use that strength up against them, right? Arm stuck out. Good, fantastic base right here. One arm he's using to control and manipulate that offensive lineman right there. Head also peeking to find where the ball carrier is, and he makes the play. Like seriously, this is top five level type of stuff. Like you don't see a whole lot of this stuff from a guy with all the measurables and the athletic ability to put in the little basic things just makes you that much more better and primed for the NFL. And look at him right there, chasing high motor like I was talking about and making a play. Like he's going working at the quarterback, now he's going all the way to the opposite side and he makes the play. Throws that offensive lineman right off him, makes the play. Right, so there he is right here, working up against 78. Same thing, leverage, understanding it, just throws him off. Like he's working this way, but his eyes really well disciplined in the run game. Now he's able to make a play on the shovel pass. I think that's up against Sam Laporta too. Tackle for loss. Now, here we go. Because when you are such a stud and a hurricane as a defensive lineman and you create problems, you're a game record, right? They have to game plan against you. So how are you going to work up against double teams, especially playing on the interior of the offensive line, right? Hand fighting, he knows, okay, Wisconsin, their offensive line, double teaming him should be able to contain him, right? So what's your responsibility as a defensive lineman? Well, you have to be gap disciplined. If the court you understand being double teamed, the odds of you beating that double team really not too good. So use your eyes, be gap disciplined because if the quarterback does take off, he can't go into your gap. And if you have to use your eyes to understand, okay, where's he going so that way I can fight off. Sees it, look at his eyes. He's looking in the backfield to find the quarterback. Hold, still effort, makes the quarterback do an errant pass. Like we've seen quarterbacks in the NFL, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, make that kind of throw, right? Now, am I comparing that quarterback to it? No, but it's a good indicator and I guess test to be able to create those pressures, and it results in a pick too. Like I said, I don't understand why some are so low on this guy. Like really impressive. There he is right there, working up against 75, always using those hands and hand fighting. Understands, okay, and this is a high IQ football play right here. Really impressive. Quarterback is going into this lane. Offensive lineman or the blocker is pushing you, right? Still has his eyes on him. He understands that I can't let him go outside. I can't let him go to my side. And he's not. First, force him back to where help is right here. That's what he does. But he spins off of it because he knows the offensive lineman pushes him in the back. With the official right there, that's most likely going to result in a flag, right? But he spins off of it and understands where the quarterback is going to be. He knew he was going to work that way to where help is. Spin off of it and still make the tackle. And here up against Michigan, right? Michigan has, for the past couple of years, a really dominant offensive line. And the running game is really physical too. Well, here he is right here. Gets off the block. Now he's having to work up against tight end. Now, do I love him pushing the tight end? I think it is my preference, and this is nitpicking as well too. When they're pulling a smaller guy up against you, and you're the defense lineman, you have this size advantage over them. Just dip your shoulder into them and blow up the play right there, right? But now he still makes a play right here. They're just little things, right? You don't have to push him away. Just lean your shoulder into him, throw the blocker into the back or the ball carrier, and this is impressive. Look at how wide he gets. He with his eyes are so well disciplined. So let's look at this rep right here. Number 4, working on the right tackle. Eyes. Now there's this pole or something right here, so it's kind of blocking the view. But his eyes, right, draw a straight line to the quarterback. He understands offensive linemen are moving this way, so with the back running this way too, it's going to my side. So you have to get wide. You have to set the edge, and that's what he does. Sets the edge, doesn't let that offensive lineman set it, and now it's a tackle for loss. Great play. Like really, really impressive stuff. And then right here, another impressive trait he displays on film. You're going to be unblocked. Now, do I recommend offensive linemen at the NFL level or even in general leave them unblocked? No. But sometimes it's going to happen to create these sort of read option plays, right? And as a defensive lineman, the technique is like a surf technique, especially if you're out on the edge. You kind of collapse that lane that they're trying to create, which is right here, or over there. But on most outside quarterback options like this, it's to the outside so that you want the defensive lineman to get on that surf technique somewhere there. So surf technique. Now he goes straight to the ball carrier. Do I love that? But it's a little thing, right? You have to teach him surf technique because the quarterback. I mean, if the quarterback pulls that, look at that lane. He only has to make one defender miss, but that's a huge lane, and he can even bounce that outside too with this block. Still makes the play. Now maybe he does that on purpose because he knows, well, there's help over there, so I can. But still, so that is it. That is a wrap. Jer'Zhan Newton, defense tackle from Illinois. His film, speechless. It's that dominant, and I think looking at it in the draft, it's from a defensive lineman perspective, and I've only done this for a couple of years, like this hardcore film review type of scouting. It is the best defensive lineman tape I have seen in since that time. Really impressive. I think he is worthy of a top 10 pick in this draft just because you consider at the NFL, you hear a lot of coaches and everyone talk about the basics, right? You have to nail down the basics. He has all the basics refined down, and then you combine his athletic ability and just overall talent, and then the IQ is just that much. When you have a defensive lineman with IQ, it's just that much more valuable. So he is not only a run stuffer, which you look for as a defensive lineman, but he can give you something, some kind of reps as a pass rusher as well. Like I said, really impressive. I think we need to be higher on him. I think I would if I'm an NFL team out there now. It depends on team needs, situation, but I think his overall talent, what he possesses, and that's something that's so valuable in the NFL, which is a run stopper on the interior that can also be a pass rusher. Extremely invaluable, extremely valuable. Now, I don't love player comparisons because I think you have to let the player speak for themselves. The player has to do, they're their own athlete. They have their own craft. Now they may mimic or take some pieces away from that they can add to their game from other players that they see in the NFL. But and I know the scout community loves player comps. I'm gonna give it that Kalijah Cansey coming out and a little bit of Aaron Donald because Donald gives you both as an interior defensive lineman run stopping and he can sack the quarterback. Those are the similarities that I see between these two. And then of course their main athletics off the charts. So that is it. That is a wrap for Jer'Zhan Newton, Illinois defensive tackle film review prospect breakdown. You've seen the tape. Let me know what your thoughts are on Jer'Zhan Newton. Curious to know what you think. Those of you watching this podcast, watching these film review breakdowns, we're gonna do plenty more next week. Gonna have a Keon Coleman, Florida State wide receiver, prospect breakdown. But that is it. That is a wrap. Jer'Zhan Newton, you have earned it. That's textbook. Appreciate all of y'all. God bless. And until next time, deuces.